Hey everybody, what's going down? I'm back for another Twin Peaks episode review. Work's been kind of insane, so I've a couple of days without any content. But things should be going back to normal next week, so stress levels will go down a bit. Alright, this is Twin Peaks Season 2, Episode 15. The name of the episode is Slaves and Masters. So let's get going. Alright, we start out with kind of a slow motion panning across a chessboard, at least kind of at eye level, or I guess, I don't know what you would call that perspective exactly, but we're getting an up close look at the pieces. You got some eerie music playing in the background. It's almost like we're traversing through some kind of maze or something until we end up what I presume is the king on the chessboard, which would obviously represent Dale. It's either that or it's the queen. I'm not sure exactly, so one or the other. The queen chess piece is important to the whole plot, so we'll get there. Now we're back over at Evelyn Marsh's place, and she's wearing a mourner's veil, obviously, because her husband just died in that car accident. She's given a kind of on autopilot when it comes to talking to the police, probably because Malcolm gave her all the instructions on what she's supposed to say and not say. So she's kind of off in La La Land, probably thinking about James. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that Malcolm is the mastermind behind the whole little scheme. The local cop can't even spell Jaguar, so I don't think he's going to be the best at trying to find a suspect. So maybe that'll work out in James's favor. If you sit down and process this whole scheme that they came up with, it makes no sense, really, to me at least, as far as James being the culprit. I mean, James offers to help fix a car. He comes and fixes the car, and then all of a sudden he becomes murderous, and on a whim breaks the car he just fixed so that Evelyn's husband will end up in an accident and die, and then he bolts after that. So it's like, is that it? It'd be a hell of an MO for a serial killer. Comes in and fixes a vehicle, and then turns around and sabotages it, and then the person dies. Yeah, seems kind of an odd. But then again, I guess maybe the local cops are extremely stupid. So hard to say. Evelyn seems to be remorseful, but it's really hard to tell if she's genuinely remorseful or not. We're seeing another group or a weird crowd, I should say, at the bar. It's either a bunch of police or military guys at the bar. They're all smoking. They're all looking in the same direction, and there's some opera music playing on the speakers. I was almost expecting when I first saw it to see an opera singer standing in there singing, but no, it must just be on the PAs. James and Donna are trying to figure out a plan to get out of the situation. Bartender keeps popping up. I'm surprised he didn't overhear everything they said, given how close he was. So James is still a bit dense when it comes to women, even after all the stuff that he's gone through. All right, back at the sheriff's station, Harry and Dale are questioning Bobby about the situation with Leo. Basically just gives him the rundown, and then tells him after Dale kind of leads towards the subject of Hank Jennings, and Bobby confirms that Hank Jennings shot Leo through the window, and then Bobby goes back into angsty teen mode. Albert has a great comment. "Get a life, punk." Apparently now Harry and Albert are besties, so that's good. Glad to see Albert's not going to be a dick to everybody now. Wyndham Earle is the reason Albert is back to help his compadres, of course. Albert takes out a map, and apparently Wyndham has been sending packages to different major law enforcement agencies. Looks like kind of circled around an area around the Midwest. They're, I guess, intended to be at least from appearance, they're supposed to be give the impression that they're a mail bomb or some kind of explosive. But in reality, each box contains a specific item that was worn by Caroline on her wedding day. So that's obviously the message there is pretty pretty obvious to all of us, since he's trying to use stuff that Dale will remember and that will kind of stir up old memories. Albert confirms that the vagrant died of a knife wound, severed the aorta, just like the one that killed Caroline, so Dale was right on that. We didn't really need an expert's opinion. Apparently he then waited until the rigor mortis left the arms and hands, fingers of the body before he bringing the body to the station and positioning the finger to point at the specific spot on the chessboard. And if I understand Albert correctly, the map that he laid out on the table was found at the power station where Wyndham Earle was also at when he sabotaged the power, and taped underneath the table. So I'm not sure if it was meant to be found or not. I'm assuming it was. Seems like everything has a purpose. With Wyndham Earle, back to Wyndham Earle's abode in the woods. He's playing a bamboo flute of some kind, while in his grimy undergarments, and Leo's lying there listening. Seems like he's still out to lunch a little bit as far as being coherent. Wyndham did a background check on Leo while Leo was snoozing, and Leo realizes that Wyndham knows that he's guilty of attempted murder or something along those lines. Leo freaks and tries to run. Wyndham attacks him and shows that he's a bit demented when it comes to his conversation. And yeah, apparently Wyndham is going to give our chum Leo some obedience lessons from here on out. So it's kind of karmic in a way. Leo was such a jerk to Shelley and pretty much everybody, and now he's kind of he's on the opposite end of the abuser and abuse pairing. So yeah, Leo's gonna get some lessons taught to him, and apparently he's even got his very own shock collar, which should be interesting. Ed and Norma, in the meanwhile, are lying in bed talking, and Nadine comes in. I guess she just was at a wrestling meet and lost because she used the helicopter move or something, and it was, had been barred or illegal or something, so she got second place. And apparently, since she's in teenager mode still, she really doesn't care if Norma and Ed are hooking up, so I guess that's a good sign for Ed and Norma. Over at the Martells, Josie is questioned by Harry and Dale about the Asian guy that ended up dead. The Martells seem, if you look at their cupboard or whatever, what Pete's at, it looks like they're stocked up for what would have been Y2K, even though that hadn't been probably come to the news forefront for a while longer. But yeah, it looks like they stocked up on a whole lot of stuff. Not sure what that's all about. It's only the three of them currently there. When Dale gets a chance, he takes some fiber samples from one of Josie's coats and gloves, it looks like, or at least coat with some tweezers. Yeah, I'm mumbling my words. Thomas Eckhart calls, and Josie picks up. Catherine is on the line as well, so basically it's tipping Thomas off as to where Josie is hiding, so he knows that she is under the protection of Catherine and Pete. So we go over to the Great Northern, and we get some more General Robert E. Horn shenanigans. I'm not going to bother going into that. Like I said, it's not all that relevant to the main plot. Evelyn goes back to the bar. Either she's drunk or she's going back to get drunk again. Donna confronts her. Evelyn gives her the old, the world sucks, and there's no point to life, blah, blah, blah. It's obviously that she's a pretty miserable person. And Malcolm tells Donna, basically, hit the bricks, gal, or you're going to end up pushing up daisies. So, in no uncertain terms, he does not want to see her around these parts again. Back at the sheriff's station, Albert shows Dale a couple of slides showing the fibers of the vicuna coat that were outside Dale's room when he was shot, and also the ones that he took from Josie's coat when he came back from the dry cleaners, and they are a match. So apparently Josie knows how to use a firearm with that kind of accuracy, but then again, I don't know maybe how close she was when she shot the guy. But she has some experience with firearms. And yeah, it looks like Josie may have been the would-be assassin. Did you see that one coming? I don't know. That was one that they kind of left kind of on the back burner for a while. So yeah, I guess that may be what happened. Josie decided to take out Dale for some reason or another. Yeah. So Dale goes to visit Harry, who's throwing some darts. Apparently the vagrant's last name was Powell, which is also coincidentally Caroline's maiden name. And yeah, this is kind of creates a conflict, at least in my logic, and which leads me to believe that it wasn't a mere picking up of a hitchhiker, as they kind of described, or Dale described. Because I mean, what would be the odds that a guy thumbing a ride would have the same last name, as the maiden name of Wyndham Earle's deceased wife? It seems kind of bizarre, since I'm assuming he was chosen because his last name was the same as his dead wife's maiden name. So yeah, it seems like he would have probably had to invest a little more time in getting that person specifically. So it's not super important, but it just, the way they described it in the other episode, it seemed like it was just a matter of someone getting picked up on the side of the road and then getting killed, and so on and so forth. Just the little things that pop in my head that kind of conflict with what we've been told previous. And yeah, as I said in a previous episode, every piece from the board means another life taken. So, and apparently Dale never beat Wyndham Earle a single time they played chess, so this is kind of a hit to his confidence and his ability to ultimately defeat Wyndham Earle, which means he'll stay alive. But yeah, looks like old Pete Martell is a chess expert, and I'm glad to see Pete being brought in to help, instead of just kind of hanging around Josie and Catherine and not doing too much of anything. So yeah, apparently he's a whiz at chess. So basically Dale wants Pete to come up with a stalemate game. Obviously he wants minimum pieces lost, because that's each piece represents a life. I don't think it's possible for a stalemate game to not have some pawns taken, so we'll see. But definitely want to protect the more important pieces on the board, especially the king and queen. Yeah, and Harry lets Norma know that Hank is going away for a long time because of his attempted murder, so good news from Norma. First, Nadine is not worried about who Ed is sleeping with, so yeah, looking good for her. Josie opens the door and stands face to face with Thomas Eckhart, probably the last person on planet Earth that she would want to be in the same room with. Josie's all dressed up like she's getting the maid. She's going to serve them their meal. And Catherine and Thomas talk over dinner, or before dinner, and they kind of throw some barbs back and forth. Thomas claimed that he loved Josie, and that was why he tried to kill Andrew Packard, because Andrews took Josie away from him. I don't know how truthful that is, because Thomas isn't exactly the most savory character, so... And to make things worse for Josie, her fate is being negotiated basically while she's overhearing it all. So she's kind of being, talked about as kind of an object that is to be traded if the terms are agreeable. So yeah, Josie's she's not in the best situation, to say the least. Yeah, so Evelyn apparently likes to hit the bottle, and that, her whole thing, when I was watching that part, just kind of reminded me of something that you might recall from way back, which is kind of a minor bit of information, but it was when James kind of confessed to Donna the truth behind, his mom. And his father, apparently his father left him. He's a deadbeat, but his mom was a drunk. I'm assuming still is, though she never makes an appearance in the show, and that she would leave for days and pick up random guys and go to hotels. So Evelyn kind of seemed almost like that same type of person in a little bit. I'm not sure if there's any parallel with it. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's an incestual type thing. But she just kind of reminded me of the same type of person that his mom was, because his mom would go and get, like I said, get drunk and pick up guys at bars, and Evelyn would go drink, picked up, I don't know, assuming that James was the first person she picked up. May not have been. James confronts Evelyn. They're at the house now, and this kind of melodrama is better fit for soap operas. The whole scene was kind of cringy, just because it is pretty much melodrama. Malcolm gets the drop on James and KOs him, and the way they do this more slow-mo, and this kind of the slurred, distorted voice and all that, and the way Malcolm and Evelyn are interacting, it almost reminded me of the scene with Bob, and Leland taken, his personality or whatever taken over by Bob, and Maddie, right before she was killed, he was kind of embracing her, kissing around her face and stuff. So I don't know if I don't think that has anything to do with each other, but that just the scene that I immediately was reminded of when they used that sort of effects, if you will. Long story short, Ben hits his head after his whole Confederate thing and comes to his senses finally. So we're all done with the General Robert E. Horn, thank God. I mean, it got drawn out a little too long. Though, like I said, the first time it was pretty funny. Wyndham is working on a disguise over at his place while Leo writes something down on paper. And apparently Wyndham is a stickler for good penmanship. So Leo gets shocked a couple times. I think Leo is permanently out to lunch in some manner with the brain damage. So. And then we see a picture of Audrey, Shelley, and Donna. And apparently one of these ladies will become the queen chess piece, essentially. And Leo doesn't seem to like this idea very much. So I think he recognizes the picture of Shelley. So who knows? Maybe we'll see how Leo's personality and mindset develops while under Wyndham Earle's obedience training. Malcolm and Evelyn back at the Marsh's place are going over what to say to the police after she shoots James. James is out cold on the floor. Donna breaks in and basically pleads for James's life to Evelyn. Evelyn decides that she's not going to go along with Malcolm anymore, and he tries to take the gun from her, and she shoots him point blank. Looks about like right in the heart. And he's toast. And so she at least redeemed herself a little bit, and then she's kind of just lays there on the on the floor, leaning on next on Malcolm, and starts repeating the same lines that Malcolm told her to say after about James coming in and shooting him. So she did something good, I guess, out of all that. But anyway, so we're at the Great Northern to wrap up this episode. Dale's looking at a picture of Caroline that he still has, and Wyndham Earle just happens to walk right by, wearing some really absurd-looking costume. And even ironically, there's a whole bunch of owl postcards for sale after he drops off apparently something for Audrey. So the owls are everywhere. Dale returns to his room to see a death mask lying on his pillow. He lifts it up and a tape player starts playing, and it is, in fact, Caroline's death mask. How he procured that, who knows. Wyndham says that he still loves Caroline. It's hard to say if that's the truth. I don't know. He's either completely nuts or he's sane and is really good at acting nuts. So it's hard to say. He is an enigma of sorts, and we'll have to ponder that for a while later. That's it for episode 15, season 2, Slaves and Masters, as is the title. And I'll get this up sometime. I only got a day off before I gotta flip back into my normal schedule at work, so I just figured I'd try to sneak this one in. I'll try to get another one done sometime tomorrow morning. And yeah, so we'll have, after that, we'll have 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 more episodes to go. And I should be able to get that done by the next week, I think. Shouldn't be a problem. So we'll be early May. I'll be able to get the movie done. We'll be right on schedule. So cool. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed the review. I hope you're sticking with the show and liking it so far, even though it is kind of dragging on with some plots that aren't really all that interesting, at least to me personally. But we're still Wyndham Earle, like I said, is still is a worthy follow up from Bob. It's just a different type of evil, but still pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, that's it for this episode review, and let's talk to you folks later with the next episode, episode 16. Take it easy.